We're also still watching shares of Target pre-market. They're really getting hit on a bad earnings miss and holiday warning. And to that end, we're also tracking shares of Lowe's, which is one of the top trending tickers on Yahoo Finance right now, following a third quarter earnings beat, exceeding expectations and raising full year guidance. Lowe's surprisingly put up a little better quarter than Home Depot. Normally that does not happen. Home Depot has always been a best-in-class operator, have usually outperformed Lowe's in terms of sales. We'll be curious on what Lowe's is saying on this earnings call, guys, about demand to kick off the fourth quarter. Home Depot took a little bit of a conservative stance yesterday.
Yeah, looking through some of the Lowe's results as well and some of the highlights that they pointed out in this most recent quarter, they also saw a lot of expenses really start to add up here too. Also continuing to reinvest in the business, capital expenditure, that was up, or capital expenditures of up to $2 billion is what they're now forecasting as well for the full year outlook here. But then additionally saying that they delivered better than expected results this quarter. It's a question of, what the expectations are at this point for some of the larger home improvement retailers. Saw that in Home Depot, now again in Lowe's. So we'll see what the forecast, where they continue to kind of point towards in their expectations from here forward too.
Looks like they're pointing pretty good if you look at what their APS forecast is, right? I mean, it's also interesting because Lowe's, when you look at the mix at Lowe's versus Home Depot has more professional customers. Lowe's has more individual customers, like, not contractors, for example. And so it's a bit surprising to see Lowe's doing better because you wouldn't think that would necessarily be the case.
And I was looking for my data point regarding some of the expenses here, and it's a talent retention story that Lowe's is also trying to push forward here with as well. They had this $200 million bonus that they gave their frontline hourly associates. They also announced $170 million worth of permanent wage increases here as well. And so even in an environment where you're going to see more of either the employment hoarding in some cases, but for Lowe's and for Home Depot, just making sure that there are enough people to continue to run the operation on a day-in, day-out basis, have that kind of front-facing customer presence. I think that's a significant effort that they've tried to push forward to make sure that they're keeping people over at Lowe's too.
One just quick point here as we come up against this opening bell. I do have to call, how do they say it? I'm going to call BS on Home Depot on that earnings call yesterday. They said because home prices are declining.
How do you say BS?
That's how you say it, just BS. Because home sales are declining. Their argument is now people are staying in their homes longer and more inclined, I guess, to go out and buy a hose and buy some spackle. I just don't agree with that. I appreciate the positive spin on things, but still, home prices are going down. And sales are now coming under pressure for a Home Depot, to a lesser extent Lowe's. Transactions were down almost 9% for Home Depot in the most recent quarter. I can't take that spin. It makes me crazy.
That logic does make some sense. No?
No.
Although I will say, as someone who is a homeowner, unless you're putting your place up for sale, there are a lot of things you let go.
If you believe the house,
and then when you prepared for sale, you do all that stuff, and you're like, man, I wish I had done all this earlier. This would have been nice to replace that light bulb 2 years ago.
If your home price is declining, you are probably thinking, no, I'm not going to buy that new copper faucet. Not doing it.